With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin. We are honoring our veterans here in the town of Barnstable this week. Of course, Veterans Day is Friday, November 11th. And joining me today, I welcome Director of Veteran Services, Mr. Ed Merrigan. And I have two veterans here. I have Jake O'Rourke, a veteran of the Korean War, and Patrick Kelly, who has returned from Afghanistan. Gentlemen, welcome, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed, I think I'll start with you. Tell me a little bit about what your job entails and how you work here in the town of Barnstable and really across the Cape to help our veterans.
Okay. My title is Director of Veteran Services, Barnstable District. Each town under state law is required to have a service officer to administer state low-income benefits. Those benefits are paid out by the town of residency for low-income vets, and then that's reimbursed by the state at 75%. In addition to that, we service all other benefits, federal benefits, etc. Under state law, we're allowed to form districts for economic purposes. And over the last 40 years, a district has been formed here in the Cape, which extends from Wareham to Provincetown, with the exception of Falmouth. Falmouth has their own operation. We have 6 office locations, a small staff of service officers that rotate around for the convenience of the vets on the Cape. So that's our basic function, and we're a one-stop shop for the full range of benefits.
So, Ed, what do you see as some of the biggest issues facing our veterans here on Cape Cod these days?
Well, I think it differs, it varies with age group and their current experiences. For those who are coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, there are the service-connected disabilities, any issues, any injuries. The signature injuries are the TBI, because of the blasts, that's traumatic brain injury, and PTSD because it's a small force that's being rotated continuously, some having as many as 7 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. So that's the service-connected issues for that group. But that group also is interested in education, jobs, very importantly, and VA medical, and that sort of thing. As the vets get older, the Vietnam vets are now getting into their 50s and 60s. Their needs change. They're looking for VA medical. Some of them are being laid off because of the work slowdown, the fact that it's a tough job market. And for folks in that age group, it's kind of tough to find work again if they've lost the job they've had for a while. As we get into the older vets, the Korean and World War II, they're interested in medical as well. But over the broad spectrum, there are always service-connected disability issues as well. And many of the Vietnam vets and certainly many of the Korean War and World War II vets ignored the issue of PTSD. And as years go by, some of them are beginning to see issues. Some of the filters change as you get older, and some of those issues begin to crop up again. There's no statute of limitations on that. If the symptoms exist, we file the claims and follow through for them.
Right, Ned, I know transportation is another issue. Of course, we know that transportation, not only for veterans, but for our seniors really here in the region, has been tough, whether it's finding funding or finding vehicles. Tell me about your experiences in providing transportation for our veterans here on the Cape.
Well, there's no question that it's a tough issue for all of the elders on the Cape, and the veterans are included in that. But for a specific issue for the veterans is getting from the clinic. We have a very good clinic here on the Cape under the Veterans Administration. But the major medical facilities are located in Brockton. Providence is our main one for our location, and 2 in Boston. And for the disabled vets and the older vets to get to these facilities for the important medical care that they need, it's very, very hard for them. Some can't drive anymore, some have difficulty finding rides, and the cities are very intimidating for them. Over the years, the DAV has operated vans that are not paid for by the VA, interestingly enough. The operating costs are, but there's no payroll for the drivers, and the actual purchase price of the vans is not covered by the VA. So in order to have those vans, someone has to buy them for the clinic. The vans have fallen into disrepair over the years. By the summertime, they're beginning to break down on their runs. Some of the friends of the veterans are having to drive out in their private autos to rescue them from wherever the van had broken down. The vets organizations on the Cape began a fund drive, and they were soliciting $5, $10, $20 donations, whatever they could get, to try to replace these 2 vans. We had a couple of benefactors that showed up out of the blue. One was a group called Heroes in Transition. Ken and Cindy Jones, their son was Captain Eric Jones, who died in a helicopter crash, U.S. Marine Corps. They've started a group called a fund called Heroes in Transition, and they stepped up to fund the balance due on one of these two vans. At the same time, out of the blue, I was contacted by what was formerly known as Cape Cod Co-op, now the Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod. After some very brief discussions, they immediately offered to buy the other van.
Oh, that's
so
wonderful.
They provided the check for that. So they will be dedicated at the end of this week. So that particular problem has been solved thanks to these folks.
Great. Well, Ed, thank you so much. Thank you for the hard work that you do, and I will have a few more questions for you, but for now, I want to turn my attention to these two gentlemen over here, our veterans. And Jake, I want to start with you. Tell me a little bit about what made you decide to serve your country.
Well, at that time in 1950, I had just got out of high school, and the job there wasn't that great and what have you. So I decided to go in the service. And I went to the movies and I saw the Guadalcanal Diary, and of course the Marines was my choice.
So you enlisted in the Marines?
Yes. Yeah.
And then you went off to Korea. Tell me about your experiences in the Korean War.
Oh my God. Have you got a week? Well, I landed at Incheon, which is on the west coast of Korea and North Korea, and we cut the supply lines of the North Koreans and saved the city of Seoul. From then we drove into the city of Seoul, flattened that place, and then we went from there north. We went to Wonsan, landed there, went up and fought the guerrillas in the mountains, and then from there we went to north to the Chosin Reservoir up on the Yellow River, and we drove the North Koreans right out of their own country. However, at that point the Chinese decided that they wanted to come in and annihilate the 1st Marine Division. Well, surprise, surprise. They surrounded us, and from what I understand, it was 110,000 of them, and there was only 15,000 of us. But we fought our way out of it, and thank God for the officers and NCOs that decided not to leave the Marine Corps after World War II. They saved us. So,
wonderful. And again, a powerful experience, I'm sure, a life-changing experience. Were you surprised at all by the intensity of combat when you enlisted? Were you expecting that when it was something that you signed up for?
Well, they took the hockey stick away from me and gave me a rifle, and that was it. And you know, it was scary at first, but after a while you sort of get used to it. And I still am not used to it.
And of course, on Veterans Day, really every day, we should honor people like you who did serve our country. Why is it important for you to be remembered and to remember your other fellow veterans?
Well, right now, we have a military family. I have a son that was in the Marine Corps and also a daughter who's currently in the Air Force and was in Afghanistan, like Pat here. So it just bugs me that our people are dying, and they're dying not for our country, they're dying for some other country, and we just got to bring them home and stop playing Santa Claus to the world.
Do you see a big difference in the veterans of today from the Iraq and Afghanistan wars than you do from men of your generation?
Oh yeah, it's more of a I guess it's more of a war of technical war, and a lot of technology in it and what have you. We always knew where the enemy was, except for ambushes and stuff, but nowadays they're all around you. You don't know where they are, and they press a button a mile away, and you know, it just, it's not worth it. I think that Afghanistan's got to be the rear end of the world. It's not worth the price we're paying for it.
Well, Jake, we thank you for your service, and I thank you for joining us today.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.